Ciao everybody, Caterina here. Welcome to my kitchen. Well, today I'm invited to a pool party and I was asked to either bring savory or sweet, and I've decided to bring one of each. And for savory, I'm going to be preparing one of my favorite dishes, tomato and Fontina tart. Absolutely delicious, so simple to prepare. Now let's get started. I have an 11-inch tart pan with a removable bottom. You're going to want to use something very similar to this. And just to prepare it, all I'm going to do is just spray it with cooking spray. I'm going to start with the pâte brisée now because it has to stay in the fridge for 2 hours. I'm putting 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour inside my food processor. To this I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm going to give this a nice spritz. I have 1 cup of unsalted butter cubed, very, very cold. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add it to the mixture in the food. I'm going to add a few cubes at a time. I have a cup of ice water here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a 1/4 cup first, and I'm going to add it to the food processor. Okay, I'm going to add another 1/4 cup of ice water. That should do it. I'm going to cut this in half. This will make 2 crusts. Okay, 2 crusts right here in the refrigerator for 2 hours. Okay, now we're going to prepare the garlic because it has to roast for 45 minutes in an oven that's preheated up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So I just slice the ends on a piece of parchment paper and aluminum. You don't want your food on aluminum. I'm just going to sprinkle with a little bit of kosher salt, some olive oil. Okay, I'm just going to wrap it up in a little case like this and in my oven for 45 minutes. I have half the recipe of the pâte brisée. I'm just going to roll it out to about, a little more than 12 inches in diameter. I'm just going to keep rotating so it doesn't stick. Okay, that's about right. So all I'm going to do now is just roll it on my rolling pin. Now you have to work very quickly. Roll it out onto my pan. So I'm just going to use the rolling pin to take out the excess. It's just going to come right off. There we are. Just peel it. There we go. I'm going to place this crust in the refrigerator for 45 minutes. Okay, now we're going to prepare the tomatoes. And first we have to confit the tomatoes. And all that means is blanching them for about a minute. That's all. Now I have all different sizes of tomatoes. You're going to need about between 23 to 25 tomatoes. Now all I'm going to do is just a small little X. Now that my water's boiling ever so slightly, I'm just going to add the tomatoes to my boiling water for exactly 1 minute. As soon as you see the skin peeling back, you know they're ready to be removed. Okay, it's been exactly a minute. You can see that the skin is falling back, so I'm going to remove them. I'm going to start with the other tomatoes. In the meantime, I'm going to let them cool for a few minutes. I have some here that I did earlier, so I'm going to show you how we're going to prepare these tomatoes. Now we're just going to slice the very end here, like this. There. Look how easy the skin comes off. We're just going to peel off all the skin. Okay, and now we're just going to remove the seeds. I have a little spoon here. I like doing with a spoon. If you don't, you can always squeeze them out. Now I'm just going to cut out the core, right there, and the tomato is done. I've decided to go with 22 tomatoes because some are larger than others. Preheat your oven to 275 degrees Fahrenheit. We will be roasting these very slowly. We're going to start by sprinkling a little bit of kosher salt over each tomato. Now I'm going to sprinkle some black pepper, some olive oil. I'm just going to drizzle it over each tomato. And the last item is thyme, all over each tomato, and this thyme is from my garden. I love the summertime just for the simple fact that I can just go outside and get any herbs that I want. Oh, I just love it. Okay, in my preheated oven, I'm going to watch them. Once they've shrunk down to almost half, I'll know they're ready. My tart shell has been refrigerated for 45 minutes. It's nice and firm. All I'm going to do now is dock it. This way you won't have any puffiness. And I'm going to blind bake it first. I have these ceramic pellets that were gifted to me 20 years ago. If you don't have these pellets, you can use dried beans or dried lentils. It's the weight you need. I have parchment paper here. I'm just going to line my tart shell and in my wainscot. I've preheated my oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, I removed the pie weights. Now this crust needs to bake for an additional 15 minutes in the oven. I allowed the garlic to cool. Okay, I'm squeezing all the garlic, roasted garlic out. And the second one. Beautiful. My crust baked for an additional 12 minutes. It's golden brown. It's perfect. Now I'm just going to allow it to cool to room temperature. My tomatoes roasted for approximately an hour and 20 minutes. I took them out and I gave them at least half an hour to cool. So now we're completely ready to start assembling our tomato tart. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so we're going to start with the garlic mixture first. I'm just going to dump it and then spread it with an offset spatula everywhere because you want to make sure everybody gets to taste some of the garlic. Okay, I think I've done a great job spreading the garlic. I'm going to add a little bit of thyme. Okay, that should do it. I have 1 cup of grated Fontina cheese. I'm only going to use half now. I'm going to put it all over the shell. So now I'm going to start placing the tomatoes. Now you're going to want to really squeeze them in. Really just mash them in together. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil all over the tomatoes, the rest of the Fontina cheese. I'm going to top it off with a little more thyme, just a little bit. Okay, so my tomato tart is ready for the oven. I'll be baking it for approximately 40 minutes. I think I'm going to be highly favored at this pool party with this wonderful tomato tart. Absolutely delicious and so simple to prepare. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and it's Katerina from my home to yours. Don't forget to hit your like button, and if you haven't already done so, subscribe to my channel. Ciao.